What would your business look like if you ask yourself this one question? I had an epiphany driving home from the grocery store last week. And I was ruminating on this question, the question being, what would my business look like if my only purpose was to serve others? If I didn't need to worry about where my next client was coming from or how I was going to hire this service provider that I want to work with. If my only goal in business was to serve others, to help other people improve their marketing, use social media better, have more confidence in what they were doing, what would my business look like? And you would think that this is something that we think about a lot as entrepreneurs, but truthfully, it's not really a question that I've ever asked myself. I've asked myself a lot, what do people need? What do people want? But it's always been tied to how can I then take that and make money in my business because I need to feed my family, which is a good question. No one wants to have a business that doesn't make money. That's not a business, it's a hobby. So in essence, I was asking myself, what would my business look like if it was actually a hobby? And how would I do things differently? Would I do things differently if that was the case? And I kind of had a big aha moment. Maybe I've been thinking about this a little bit too much. I think maybe I haven't been thinking about it enough because yes, as much as I need to make money to feed my family, I really started this business because I wanted to help people. I wanted them to feel confident, to be able to use social media to grow their business, to get the results that everyone promises, those 10K months and work 2 hours a day and all of these wonderful things that you see plastered all over your social media content, which is a little bit of a separate conversation, but you see all these things and they are possible. I think that how people are communicating them needs some TLC, but the reality is that those things can be yours. You can have 10K months. You can work only 2 or 3 hours a day. You can have an entire team, or you can do it all by yourself. You can run your business however you want to run your business, which is freeing and liberating just to think about. But when you're still thinking about it from a business perspective of how am I going to make money? Where's my next paycheck coming from? You kind of lose out on this big opportunity to think innovatively and creatively because everything that you're thinking and doing about is tied back to this one goal of how you make money. And like I said, as a business owner, your business needs to make money. But that does not mean that your business cannot serve a bigger purpose. And like I said, I want people to do all these wonderful things and have this confidence on social media. And I truly feel that everything I have created supports that goal, but again, it's been tied back to how does Brittany make money from doing this? So I've decided that I'm going to try something innovative, different, potentially even a little radical. I've personally never heard of any other businesses doing this, and I'm really excited about the potential that it has to serve others. So while I was thinking about how different would my business look, or what would I do differently if my sole purpose was to serve, I was also thinking through what pain points are people experiencing. And again, something that I thought a lot about, but I was coming back to the same thing over and over again. I hear the same 3 to 4 things that everybody struggles with. And everything that I've invented has been designed to help those struggles, but it seems like there's still always a hurdle. There's not enough time in the day. Granted, my idea is not really going to help solve that, but there's not enough time in the day. I don't know what I'm doing, and I just don't have the money for it right now. And hey, I get it. The economy sucks right now. I'm reading a book that's really interesting and tied to what I'm talking about, I promise. It's called The Obstacle is the Way, and it talks all about how all of these things are obstacles. These are 3 obstacles that technically my clients face. They tell me all the time, these are the reasons that they don't work with me because it's not the right time. They're too busy. They're not really sure what they're doing, so they don't know if this is the right investment for them, or they just simply don't have the funds to hire me to help them with their social media, their podcast, their email list, etc. So these are 3 obstacles that my clients are facing. These are also 3 obstacles that I am facing as a business owner, because to get more clients and to make that money that I need to keep my business afloat and feed my family and all those beautiful things, I have to myself overcome these obstacles and help my clients overcome these obstacles. And a lot of businesses and business owners come up against these things and they simply say, well, I can't do it. I can't fix the economy. There's nothing else that I can do. So why bother trying? Which, from a personal perspective, I've been there. I don't think that it's a sound business strategy. And that's one of the things that this book was really talking about, is how lots of people will come up to these obstacles and they just stop. But these obstacles are actually an opportunity for us to be inventive and be creative and be different and radical and, glass ceiling shatterers and adversity overcomers. And yes, I know these are not actual adjectives, but I'm really excited about this, so I'm going to do it anyway. And when we stop with the obstacles, we lose that opportunity, and then we do not create these wonderful things. So in the book, he used Steve Jobs as an example, which we've all heard. He has some very interesting ideas about what can or can't be done for computers, but it also applies to car industries. It also applies to the medical field, about people thinking, there's no cure to cancer. And then all these other people going, no, we're going to figure it out because we've done all these other things. So why can't we do this? And we need really more people going up against these obstacles and saying, no, I understand that there is a block in the path, but that just means that I need to find a new one and I need to go around it. And I mean, from like a personal ego perspective, I've always wanted to be one of those people that, does something new and totally different and radical that helps a bunch of people. Again, that's a little bit ego-centered, but also because truly I am a people pleaser. But I am also someone who desires to help others, which probably is tied back to the people pleasing. But I want to serve. That is, like I said, why I started this business. I could have done absolutely anything. I could have made handmade cards. I could have opened an in-house daycare. There's a million and one different ways that I could have created income for my family to support my family. But I chose to start a digital marketing business because I believe in the potential that it has to help other people. I want other moms to be able to look at me and say, you know what, if she did it, I can do it too. Just because I have kids doesn't mean that I don't have time. It doesn't mean that I can't support my family financially. It doesn't mean that I have to, live alone on an island and not ask for help and do all these things, because I felt that way for a long time and it was a really debilitating feeling, and I don't want other moms to be stuck in that feeling. So I want to be like a beacon, a lighthouse, if you will, of opportunity and potential for other women. So that fundamentally is part of my business, which again comes back to my radical idea. And while I was driving home from the grocery store the other day, contemplating these two questions, an idea popped into my head. Well, Brittany, you love what you do and you're going to do it anyway. So why are you leaving potential to help people on the table because they are stuck with this obstacle of, I do not have enough money right now? It's like, what can we do to help them overcome that obstacle? So I was thinking, and I was like, well, what if income wasn't an obstacle anymore? What if investing in yourself wasn't an obstacle anymore? And no, I can't just start offering things for free, because yes, I do have to continue to feed my family. But I have created courses and resources that are literally just sitting there collecting virtual dust. And it drives me insanely crazy that I cannot have more people benefit from these courses and these resources. But then I really sat back and asked myself, well, Brittany, why are people not benefiting them? And it's because someone told me that I needed to put a certain price tag on these products because that was what they were worth and they were valued at, and that was what people would pay for them. And that's all well and good. And yes, I like making money to feed my family. But it doesn't have to be that way. It doesn't have to be that expensive. There is no reason that I can't help people overcome that instant income obstacle or that revenue investment obstacle or mind frame, to help them out in this unfortunate economy. And this comes back to a little bit of something that I've been struggling with in my business as well, is that I have all these wonderful ideas. And if you know me, you know that that is true. So many ideas. too many ideas. But all the things that I want to do in my business and I can't do because I don't have time to do them all myself. And I'm also at this particular point in time struggling to make some of those investments myself as well, because I'm kind of just coming off of maternity leave. I haven't had a really large client roster lately. I haven't been spending a lot of time creating new resources to generate new and additional income in my business. So I don't have the same investment capabilities that I had. And I was thinking to myself, well, what would I like to see? How could I help myself overcome this and others overcome this? And I've done this a little bit with service exchanges. But what if we offered, I'm gonna call it a pay what you can model. I don't know if there's a technical different business term name for this, but I was like, Brittany, what if you offer a pay what you can a pay what you can method, income, revenue model. That's the word that I'm looking for. Okay, you can cut that out, Gray. What if you offered a pay what you can model for anything that doesn't require a personal time investment from you, or from me in this case? But what if you did that? How many more people would that serve? Because there were many people that went through my last course launch and they're like, this is really awesome, Brittany. I would love to do this, but I just can't invest right now. And I was hurting on the inside because A, again, that impacts my ability to feed my family, but B, because I also know that if these people are in this position where they can't invest, then they're reaching a level of stagnancy. They are not continuing to grow their business. They're not putting new things in place that are going to then help them generate more revenue. And what if I can be the cycle breaker? What if I can be the person that helps them start that domino effect of generating more revenue for themselves, creating more followers, getting more sales, finding more client leads? What if I can help them start that chain of positive events, which is not only going to help them as an individual, and I mean help me, but help the economy as a whole? Because what happens when we all start generating more money is that the economy gets better because everybody has more money to spend. So instead of going, well, I can't fix the economy, well, no, maybe I can't fix the economy as a whole, but if I could help 3 or 4 other people start a positive domino chain of them generating more money, and then they have the ability to do other things for their family and their business, then collectively, we've all helped the economy. And don't get me wrong, I am not out there to fix the economy. I would love to, but I think that that is slightly a bit bigger of a project than I can tackle myself. But if I could do anything to help even a few additional people or the economy as a whole, then why not? Why not? Why not offer a pay what you can model for anything, like I said, that doesn't require my personal time? Because my time has value. My time is very important to me. That's something that I've been focusing on, spending more time with my family. So I can't just be like, okay, pay what you can and I'll do all of your social media. Because as much as I would love to think that there are wonderful humans out there, and I know that there are, who would pay me as much as they physically could, I also know that there are humans out there that'd be like, great, well, you can do all of my social media, like 7 posts a week for like $100 a month. And I'd be like, no, I can't do that. I'm sorry. It's like, I cannot work, 30 hours a week to be paid $100 a month. That's just, no, that doesn't work. But for my courses and my downloadable resources that are already created, that have very limited time requirements from me in terms of just minor updates here and there and making sure that everything flows smoothly, why not offer a pay what you can model for those resources, like I said, to help the people start that little first step of, okay, well, we're improving our social media bio in the case of my course, or we're conducting an audit of our Instagram profile using one of my downloadable resources. So now we know where things are working and where things aren't and what we can tweak and adjust. So if I can put those things out there for people, then let's do it. So I'm really excited about this experiment, and I'll probably do like a follow-up later. Maybe I won't post this episode right now. Maybe I'll wait and see how it goes. And then it's the why I'm doing this and how it went kind of all in one. We'll see. We will see. But I'm going to, or maybe I have, depending on when this goes live, rolled out a pay what you can model. I'm probably just going to start it with my courses for the time being, because systematically that's the easiest thing for me to do, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then I want to see how people are interested in it. I'm also kind of curious to see if I just go, well, give me whatever and I'll give you access to this, how people value my course internally, because that's part of it, but also like where people are at budget wise for investments like courses. And then that will also help me then tailor my paid services, hopefully, to a level where, you know, once they take the course and they start that domino effect and they generate some new clients and some new sales and some new leads, then what would be the next step for them and what would be the next realistic and appropriate investment opportunity for them to step into. So I'm really excited about helping. I'm excited about the market research potential that could come with something like this, but mostly I'm excited with helping. So, you know, I came home from the grocery store and naturally my in-laws were over that day. It was a family dinner day. So I'm like sitting at dinner going, okay, I'm like so excited. I want to talk this out with Grayson because he's always my sounding board when I do these things. And I was like, I want to know what he thinks because I think this is really cool. And for the life of me, I can't understand why no other person on the planet has put something out there like this. And again, someone probably has and I just don't know about it. But why are more business owners not doing this? Because like I said, whether I sell a course for $300 to one person or I sell a collection of courses to multiple people for $300, it takes me the same amount of time to do the things. And again, that all comes back to, well, Brittany, why don't you just lower the price of your course and then everyone can do it, even if it's not a pay what you can model. You're like, okay, yes, valid point, but I also can't because of personal integrity. I have communicated that my course, when I first launched it, was $197 and that I would never sell it for less than that, that the people who invested for the founding members got the best price ever. So I cannot ever sell my course for less than that. When I launched it most recently, I did it at $297. And again, kind of similar messaging like, hey, you know, after this, the price is going to go up again. If you buy now, then you should do that. I feel like as long as I never made the price lower than $297, that's probably okay. But that is what I've put out there. I don't like fake scarcity, which is a topic for another podcast episode. But all of that to me is really, really important because that is my business integrity. If I say I'm going to do something and this is the cheapest it's ever going to be done at, or I'm only offering it for 4 days, I'm only offering it for 4 days. You either do it in that time period or not. Like, I don't want to be one of those wishy-washy people that just like says things to say things because they want people to like do it now. Never liked that. Never. So from personal integrity, I can't list the course for less than, you know, $197, $297. So how do I feel about launching a pay what you can model? I am a little on the fence about it, and I hope that anyone that's listening to this episode, maybe share your feedback with me if you're one of my founding members. How would you feel about this? But I really, truly want to help more people. And I'm going to try this out just for a short period of time. It's going to be kind of like a promo. Pay what you can. See what happens. And then maybe going forward with any future courses I launch, then I'll just start with that model in the first place. And then I don't have to worry about that integrity piece because, like I said, that is really important to me. So anyway, I'm like anxiously awaiting dinner to be over so I can share this idea with Grayson. And then my in-laws finally leave. And I'm like, babe, I had an epiphany in the car. You're not going to believe this. This is going to be so fantastic. I'm going to help so many people. And I tell him and he's like, babe, that's probably one of the dumbest things you've ever told me. It's like, okay, well, that was not the response I was looking for. So I was like, tell me more. Do explain. And he's like, well, everyone's just going to take advantage of you and they're going to pay you like $1 for your course that's worth like $300 or more. And I was like, okay, yes, I can see how that could happen. That could happen. But I would like to think that the people that I naturally attract are also people that have integrity and understand that when I say pay what you can, it's not a pay $5. And you know what? If $5 is all you can pay, then okay. I have offered it as a pay what you can, so I will stand by that. If you purchase within the pay what you can window that I am launching it in, then it is what it is. It is what it is. But I would like to think that business owners understand that there is value in it, and that also when you pay for something, you are putting yourself on the line, so to speak. You are investing in that opportunity and you're going to want to get the most out of your investment. So if you're only willing to invest $5 in yourself because that's all you feel you can put together, okay, again, understand that, bad economic times, but you probably don't have, I want to choose my words carefully here. you probably do not have the self-belief in yourself or your business to survive as an entrepreneur long-term. And I know that sounds super bad, and I don't mean it in a bad way, but also I have made small investments in my business that have been wonderful and got me great results. And I have made big investments in my business that have not done some fabulous things for me, or at least not what I thought. But the underlying factor is that I invested in these things with the confidence that I would get my investment back out, because I trust myself to go through the course and implement the steps and get the absolutely most amount of value I can out of these things. And oftentimes when I haven't had the best investment, it's not because of lack of effort on my part, just for the record. But if you are only able to or willing to invest $5 in a course, then you are only going to put $5 worth of energy into it, right? So you're now like half-assing it. You're like maybe watching one of the modules while you're also cooking dinner. Not knocking that. I've done that before too, but usually I have to go back and rewatch it later so that I can fully comprehend it, because my mind was like not 100% there. Somewhat distracted. So your investment usually reflects the energy level that you put into the activity or the investment. So if your energy level is at $5, you are not going to get the most out of the course. You're not going to take action on the things that I'm suggesting. One of those, yeah, okay, I'll do it later, or meh, no, I don't really need to do that. That's not really going to help me. The business owners that I feel I'm going to help the most are going to understand that, and they're going to be willing to put a little bit more on the line for that, because they know that money is energy. And although they can choose their money amount, they're basically choosing their energy amount. Instead of having me tell them how much energy they should be putting into this or how much money they should be investing to purchase this course, they can decide what is important to them in their business and choose an energy level that feels good for them, aligned for them, but also without having to worry that, okay, well, if I invest in this, then, how am I going to make payroll next week? Or how am I going to do X, Y, and Z? Because yes, energy is money, money is energy, but also I want to be realistic about the timelines of those returns on investment, because that's the big thing that I quote unquote would say has been why I don't think some investments were good. Because I was like, okay, well, I'm going to invest this amount of money and this amount of time, and in this X number of days, I'm going to have that return plus blah, blah, blah percent. Well, the return didn't happen in that timeline because my timeline was unrealistic. So if someone was investing in, let's say, Profile the Profit, because that's probably what I'll start this test with, you are not going to get immediate results. I flat out told you that in your email marketing. Now, I'm not in my emails, when I was launching the course. Now, I'm not saying you're not going to get results, because you are, and you're going to learn a lot, especially if you're kind of new to Instagram. I could have called Profile the Profit Instagram for Beginners, and that would be aptly named for what I teach in the course. But it is centered specifically on how you can use your profile to grow your business. But within doing that, I also have to teach a lot of fundamentals, like what are highlights and how do they work? And like what are pin posts and how are they different than reels? And like what are stories versus what is your feed content? So there's a lot in there. And like I said, it's great. It's going to grow your business. But it's going to take time, because, just because you're ready for customers to come in, you open a brand new storefront, does not mean that magically the entire city floods to you unless you've done all of the marketing to back that up. Same thing with social media. You update your profile, people don't magically flock to you by the hundreds of thousands. You still have to continue marketing yourself. You have to keep putting yourself out there, creating that content. And it takes time for you to retrain the algorithm. It's like, you're running after the bus because you've kind of missed it. You're like, hey, by the way, I'm still here. I still need you. Come back to me. And you gotta catch back up to the bus at the next bus stop sort of situation. That's kind of like what retraining the algorithm is. You're like, so I've been doing these things. You think you know who I am or where I am, where I'm supposed to get on the bus. But I actually am doing things a little bit differently now. You do the update and you're kind of catching it at the next stop now. So now it has to readjust to having you on the bus, quote unquote. So it takes time. It's not an immediate overnight result. And I also know that. And it's hard when you need to invest larger amounts of money in something and you know that those results aren't going to be immediate. It doesn't mean that they're not important. You need to do it. If your roof has got a giant hole in it, you've got to fix the roof. You might want a new kitchen, but you've got to fix the roof. But fixing the roof does not solve your kitchen problem. So I totally get why people don't want to spend money on fixing the roof, because they'd rather have a nice, pretty, new, functional kitchen. But these are things that you have to do for your business too, because it is foundational. Just like the roof of your house is foundational. Upper foundation, but foundational. You've got to do these things in your business too. So if I can help entrepreneurs do that in a way that feels aligned for them energetically and helps them long term, because the investment is now whatever they can invest now, then I'm going to try it. And we're going to see what happens. And you know what? Hey, maybe Grayson's right. And I fall flat on my face with this. And either A, nobody's interested, or everyone pays me $5. But I was like, also on the same front, you know what, babe? If that is the worst case scenario, the absolute worst case scenario, potentially I ruffle a couple feathers of people who have already invested in the course. And if that's the case, I'm really sorry. But if that's the case, I sell 50 courses at $5. And I've now made $250. Well, you know what? That's $250 that I didn't have a week ago. And I have now helped 50 more people in their business. And I'm going to sleep okay at night if that's the case. You know what? It is what it is. I tried it. I would still probably consider that somewhat of a success though. Not going to lie. We're going to try it. So we're going to see what happens. So that's kind of where we're at. How I'm making this happen, that was a whole other thing. It took a little bit of research. Honestly, not as much research as I thought. And systematically, this might look a little bit weird on the back end. It's definitely not like on brand for Brittany, but it's functional and I think it's going to work. So I use Dubsado. I talked about this a few times. It's my CRM. That's where most of my money funnels through, because people are paying me for like contract packages. So they have, for service packages rather, that have contracts associated with them. So all of that goes through Dubsado. So I was poking around in there, and for the record, you cannot do this through Dubsado. But I was messing around in Stripe, and it is an option in that, which Stripe is hooked to Dubsado. So I'm not adding any additional systems. I'm just going to have to change the link. So if someone were to go to my Profile to Profit webpage and they click the button, purchase Profile to Profit, instead of taking them to Dubsado or Thinkific, because I switch back and forth, which I don't use for those. Instead of taking them there, it's going to direct them to a very boring and basic Stripe page. And that's not for lack of trying. It's just because Stripe does not customize what the page looks like. So that's why it's not really on brand for Brittany. It's literally going to be white background, black writing, payment form. But it is what it is. It's functional. So I'm going to test that out. So the button will then lead them to this page, and on the page it says, pay what you can. This is what the course is valued at. Pick an amount basically that works for you, enter your payment information, and then from there it will redirect them to the course for them to create their course account. I'm hoping. That's the plan, because it still needs to be automatic. That part is important to me because I am really conscious about my work-life balance. And one of the things that I need to happen is that when somebody gives me money for something, I want them to have immediate access to what they paid me for, because when I invest in something, I'm excited. I want to do it right away. And I have to wait like 24 or 48 hours until Brittany comes back from her weekend. Not super fun. I mean, I'm sure people aren't going to be upset about it, but that's just for me. Like, when someone pays, I want them to have immediate access to things. So I'm going to test out that back-end systems model to see how that works and how that goes. For the record, and I'll probably disclose this somewhere, but it did set a minimum. I know it is a pay what you can model, but I set a minimum of $5, and that's purely because I have to pay fees on transactions every time someone gives me money. So I want to make sure that I'm not losing money by doing this. I want to help people, but I also don't want to put myself into a negative situation because I want to help people. So that covers the transaction fees, and that is $5 Canadian too. So for someone in the US, if you're like, I'm only giving Brittany $5 for the course, that is where I feel energetically aligned. That is what I can fit into my budget. You're probably really paying me like $250 in US dollars. So there's that too. So like I said, that's my experiment. We're going to try out a pay what you can model. I'm going to launch it for my course first because I have to systematically figure out how to do that in my website for my shop resources. It's not as easy as just changing the button link because my products are all built through my Wix product thing. so I don't control the buttons in there. So now I'm gonna have to figure out how I can differently host my shop resources. So that's gonna be a down the road project. But assuming it goes well with my course, then I'll probably roll that out to my shop resources next. And then when I launch courses in the future, I might just start with a pay what you can model. And maybe that's my new business model. Again, that does not include pay what you can for any of my services. So that's not coaching, that's not, email or podcast setup. Those are all package prices. They have a specific price tag that has to be associated with it to cover the cost of our time that's required to deliver it. But my course is literally just sitting there, like I said, and my shop resources collecting virtual dust when they could be out there helping people have more confidence in themselves, make more money in their business. And I don't want them collecting virtual dust. I spent a lot of time and energy creating them. And again, from an ego's perspective, I want people to use them. I want people to like them. I want people to like me and to follow me on Instagram and to want to work with me in the future. But mainly I want everyone to have access to the same sort of information and confidence and all of those wonderful things that help me do these things in my business, because I know that I might not hit my revenue goals at the date that I want them, but anything is possible as long as you have the confidence and the persistence to go after them. So I'm going to keep going after things in my business. I want to help other people do that too. Pay what you can. So let's see. Wish me luck. If you haven't purchased my course yet, highly recommend you check it out. While it's got this pay what you can model, if you're not on my email list, that's going to be where you want to be. I'm only launching it to my email people to start because I need to test the systems and make sure they actually work. So I'm not going to put it out to a bunch of people until I know how the functionality is going to work. So get on my email list. So I think that's all I have to say. Thank you so much for listening to this episode of Go Get Great. I hope that I have piqued your curiosity, maybe encourage you to think a little radically in your own business. Reach out if you have questions about how this is working, if you want to do something similar. Thanks for hanging around, and buy Profile the Profit if you haven't yet. Pay what you can, get on my email list for that. And I will see you in another episode, and I'll probably do another episode later and let you know how it went, because I'm all about trial and error. You guys learn from what I do well and what I don't. So all right, see you later.